Welcome, everyone, to the New Health Conversation podcast. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I founded the New Health Conversation a number of years ago. I certainly think we need a new health conversation. Today, we're joined by an amazing married couple with an unbelievable story, not just about their initial results, but the fact that they've been able to maintain this unbelievable weight loss now for well over a year. I'm going to introduce you to both of them in just a moment. But first, I want to show you their before and afters that you will think we photoshopped. Okay, so just hold on, everybody. Let's see. Okay, you can see Michael on the left. I mean, it's like I'm looking. I'm going, who's the person in the red? That's so completely different. Shelia, your before and after is just beyond comprehension. Now, I want everybody to understand before I switch back and we start the interview with them that when we're talking about 55, 60 pounds, that's each. That's not combined, the two of them. That's each. So let me come back here to. All right. Well, welcome, Michael and Shelia. We're so happy to have you. And yes, Michael and Shelia, you're both fitting in the frame. You're looking great. Just whatever. So I think I want to start out by asking you the question: did your weight sort of just come on gradually as you went through life? I mean, had you been overweight for a long time? Was it something that was recent? How would you both describe? Let's go back to day one, to starting point, point A. How did you get there? Let's start with that.
Well, for me, I would say after I had my first child, I could never get rid of the stomach. I tried everything from Fin to Nutrisystem to Slim Fast, and I would always lose 50 pounds every time and felt wonderful after I got it off, but could never keep it off. And so to find another product, thinking, oh gosh, here goes another one of those things again. I wasn't for sure I wanted to do that, but I thought, well, Cindy's my friend that introduced it to me, and we'll give it a shot. And it has been life changing for me to lose 65 pounds or 60 pounds and 65 inches.
That's crazy. We'll come back to you in a moment. So, Michael, how about you? You're starting A. How did you get to the point? And again, go ahead. And I want to just show people your before picture, which is just it's almost like did you have on a suit in that first picture? I mean, is that really you? Is that really you?
It's crazy. When you look back at the pictures, it just really puts it right in your face. That's for sure. So, but I think it was just bad habits, being consistently, eating the wrong foods. It wasn't like trying to stayed pretty active, but when you're kind of like an emotional eater, maybe, and just having fast food or just buying the processed foods. And then now knowing the difference, I would just say it was basically just over a course of time, it just added up like that.
So before we get into your actual stories, I need to do a little house cleaning and just say, look, this is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to treat, diagnose, make any medical claims whatsoever. The stories that they're sharing, they're their personal experience. We're not intimating that would happen to someone else, although we do see it all the time. And I'm going to be doing a whole series, a long series of these before and afters, because I think for the audience, it's really important. It's one thing to see a before and after picture, but to see the emotion and the story behind it. And really, I really believe that the New Health Conversation is all about inspiration. It's not about desperation. It's not about telling you did something wrong. We have no judgment. What we have is a like-minded community of individuals, the New Health Conversation, who really feel like they've discovered the magic, the silver bullet, not just for weight loss, but for health, So I think I want to go back to you, Shelia, for just a moment. Obviously, the weight loss, the pounds and inches is really unbelievable. We'll come back to that in a moment. But I can't remember, did you or do you have any medical issues, or what's something you also have noticed that's really been a change for you from now? When did you start? Like 18 months? I don't remember the time frame. How long has it been?
We're 17 months into it.
Okay. All right, so go ahead. So what other, not, see, here's the thing I want people to understand. The protocol that they're doing called R2M, part of the new health conversation, the weight loss is almost, I hope they'll back me up on this, that I'm not putting words in their mouth. The weight loss is almost like, it's unbelievable, but it's like the least important thing in that sense, Sheila. So how would you describe
Absolutely.
where you were, where you are now, health-wise, or energy, or anything along those lines?
Well, my energy level is really low. It has gave me my life back as far as being able to do things. I had so much inflammation in my knees and my hip. How it affected me emotionally. I had lost my mom, my daughter. I was an empty nester. I was going through some emotions in my life, and I really didn't have the energy to change that. And with this protocol, has really changed that about me and my outlook on life now. Um, I was fixing to be put on medication. I did take myself off of some depression medicine um, because I felt so good, being on this program. And I just knew it was time for change. And this is what I needed in my life.
Think, and this is for both of you, but I remember, and I always say, with all due respect, and don't get mad at me when I tell you this, but everybody, I tell them when they start, even if they don't have weight to lose, or they think they're, I say, look, you have no idea how bad you actually feel right now, because you don't understand how good you're about to feel. So Sheila, would you say that's a good way to explain the difference between day one and now 17 months later?
Absolutely. That's very accurate.
So, Michael, how about for you? What would you say the things that you're noticing? And Michael, that I've always described it as our quality of life potential, which I think is the most important thing for all of us. Who wants to be, less active in their life, especially as we get older? And I believe you've really expanded, what you're doing in your life. So maybe you can share that with the audience. Again, I keep looking at your before picture and going, who's that guy? Was that your neighbor? Did you Photoshop that picture? It's not Photoshopped, right?
This is no gimmick. This is the real deal. But I was at the doctor's office, and she was talking about how I might be being put on some blood pressure medication, also some cholesterol medication. That's right when about Cindy was introducing this to us, and she talked to us about how it addresses the metabolic syndrome. And so, that was something. And when I went back to the doctor's office, they didn't even bring that up as an equation anymore. Sheila just recently had a new life insurance policy redone where they did her blood work and cut her payment in half because her blood work came back so well.
Absolutely.
But I was really
I did not know that. That's amazing. That's incredible.
I know.
It is incredible. And, I was really intrigued by the incubation process and how we can absorb the nutrients. Everything that you basically taught us or we'd listened to, Peter, it just made sense to us. So, we were convinced to try it for 11 days. And I was down 15 pounds. Sheila was down 10. And we looked at each other and went,
Stop. In 11 days, you were down how much?
15 pounds. And Sheila was down 10. And we just looked at each other and went,
what? In 11 days, not 11 weeks.
No, 11 days.
Yeah. And, and that's where we just like, well, let's just keep doing that. Then we were down 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. I mean, we were both down over 60 pounds in less than 6 months.
I went from a size almost 20 to a size 8.
Wow. Well, I hope the ladies listening to this understand. Now, let me say something else to everybody. They're not being paid to be on my podcast, okay? They're coming and sharing because they realize there are so many people out there that are watching this right now. It's sort of in quiet desperation. You both know the story about my mother. I mean, I'll share it with the audience. My mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, but I loved her. She was awesome. And 23 years ago, before I became a researcher, for all of you listening to this, my mom called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could just spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. And, the first book that I wrote, this book here, Why Diets Are Failing Us, was really an inspiration from my mom. Because my mom, honest to gosh, she did about every diet you could imagine. She'd cut diets out of the National Enquirer. And, never, ever, ever did she ever lose, as big as she was, 10 or 11 pounds in 11 days, maybe in a couple months. But I'd see her lose 20 pounds and gain 25 pounds back. I believe she dieted herself to death, but it became a huge motivating factor for me to go on this journey, to become a researcher, to write 4 best-selling books. I did 20 shows on PBS, and I'm not trying to impress the audience. I want to impress upon you that you're in a position where what they're sharing is a real life story, their story, what happened to them, and how different their lives are. And I want everybody to understand, you have an incredible, you get to do what I call the do-over, or the reset button, like commercial on TV that used to, be, I think it was for Staples or one of those companies. That doesn't matter. But the thing that I want to impress upon everybody is that what their experience is, although it may seem like out of the realm, I always say to people, just because it was never invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. So Michael, to follow up, kind of on what you're saying, so what would you say are some of the big differences, or maybe your outlook on life, or things that have changed, maybe even the relationship between you and Shelia?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, we noticed, like, going back to the grocery stores, that we pretty much cut out a lot of stuff that we were normally buying. In other words, we realized how bad some of that stuff is. So our trips to the grocery store, even though we're using stuff from the fulfillment company, we're also using food from the grocery store, but our foods are a lot cleaner foods, basically.
What we thought we needed, we realized, from you listening to you, Peter, that those are things, those are wants, those are not needs. And the more we wanted, the less that we felt good.
But yeah, just getting good nutrition into your system and letting the body do itself. When you lose that amount of weight, 65 pounds, 60 pounds, you think you'd have loose skin, but we, like Sheila's no
Yeah,
loose.
we don't have
No
loose
loose
skin.
skin.
Sheila's
Yeah.
got guns. Now, wait a minute. Let's go back to their before and after. And he's no loose skin and no. But this is like, look, I've been doing this 21 years, and I'll share with everybody. So 21 years when people go and say, Peter, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, tell me. Now they call, they go, Peter, you're not going to believe what happened. I go, I might. And you're living testimony to that. But again, Michael, like I said, what other things, from a litany of everything from less stress, maybe more mental focus, less mental fog, more energy, sleeping better at night, just that sort of zest for life. What would you say about those factors that it's not anecdotal when you're experiencing? Do you both agree we can't explain this to people. This is experiential.
Well, 17 months into the other day, we're just looking at each other like, when's the last time we've been sick? We haven't been sick like in over almost since we've been on the protocol. The other thing is our energy levels have definitely skyrocketed. We're not talking 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, probably 4 or 5 times more energy. So we wake up early. We try to see what we can do. What we accomplish is a lot better. Our attitudes are better. But we also, when we got involved in that group, with your group, especially on the testimonial calls on Thursday night, we knew that this was something special, Peter, because we knew that the people that we were surrounding ourselves with, we were like, you know what? Don't you feel like this is something special? And we know now for a fact, like, if we can just help one person understand this protocol, we are so grateful for that. So yeah, energy levels, skin, hair, sicknesses. We both are medication free, no medications at all.
Who could ask for anything
And
better?
yeah, and our relationship is we do this together. We're supporting each other. You know, we are drinking our hydrate right now, so staying good and hydrated. But
Sheila, I'd like you to, if you'd be so kind, really, I think, address the women out there and just from the standpoint of in your heart and your, I call it your reason to believe, what do you want to tell them in terms of the hope that this creates that's justified? In other words, it's fulfilling the promise of hope. It's not just hopefully hoping something will change. What would you say to them as far as your own experience as a woman and what this has really meant to you, and especially now the future, looking forward? Because I would imagine, I'm going to go back to this picture of you when you were, metal detecting, whatever, but the smile on your face with the after says it all. But what do you want to give them? Give them inspiration, I guess, or hope. What would you say to them?
Well, Peter, I would say this is priceless. What is your health worth? You deserve to be happy. And I just went to lunch last week with a good friend of mine, and she's like, Sheila, I see the passion in your eyes. I see the passion in your heart. I was literally crying because I know this person needs it. And I said, just check it out. It will change your life, because we think we have to live that way with the inflammation and the way that life tends to be on a daily basis. But finding this, Cindy introducing us to this, has really changed my life at 55 years old, that I thought would never happen again, and something that is very sustainable for me.
So contrast that with them. This is the other thing I wanted to make sure I covered this point. So obviously, you, like most people, men and women, have tried diet after diet, lose the weight, gain it all back. Okay, well, that diet, let's try this next diet. What would you say is so different about this? It could be hunger, it could be anticipation, it could be, compare this to any diet you've ever tried, because this is not a diet. What would you say are some of the main differences that you can point out for people? Because you're experiencing it. You're going through it right now, 17 months later.
Absolutely. Well, for one, you're not buying these other products that doesn't fill you up. This is a shake. It's very convenient. Well, right behind my camera that you all cannot see is a big jar of candy that we bought, when we had our grandkids over, to give them a piece or two here and there. It's been there for a whole week, and I've not even had the urge to even go open the jar and get any out of it. It curbs my sweet tooth, and I know exactly what I'm putting in my system daily. And so I just don't have that. I never had that on these other things that I tried, and I would always gain that weight back and then some. And this I've maintained for 17 months I've been on it.
And Peter,
clarify for the audience. Let me just, before I forget. So also for the audience, I want to understand, it's not just that it's a shake. It's like no shake in the world that was medically proven to produce results that no one's ever seen before. There's also a bone broth, there's an electrolyte, there's a product that actually comes from Tibet and the Himalayas, and there's a very, very specialized aloe vera that just is the inner heart of the aloe plant, not a whole leaf aloe, and it contains all 70 minerals. But also keep in mind, everyone, that 40% of the food you're going to consume does come from the grocery store, except we set it up so we show you the choices they used in the medical studies, which is important that I want to point that out now. Everything that Michael and Sheila are pointing out to you about their change are all backed up by these 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. It's the only weight loss protocol, nutrition, supplement company ever in the world with peer-reviewed human trial studies. Normally, a peer-reviewed human trial study is reserved for a drug. No drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. So when they're talking about their experiences, like the amount of weight they lost by, the no loose skin, because in the studies, men and women Well, they proved it. They're the living proof. Men and women literally lost as much weight in, let's say, in 11 days as in 8 or 10 or 12 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet. And obviously, they're living testament now, 17 months out, that both of them, it's not just that they lost the weight, they've maintained it. But here was the other thing that they found in the studies, that blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, they all came down dramatically in 30 days. Like Michael now, he doesn't need medication. The doctor didn't even bring it up because his body is basically going through a metamorphosis. It's going through a healing crisis. The same thing with Sheila. We have many people that have talked about anxiety, depression, whatever that, and again, we're not going to make any medical claims. We can't say for sure, but so many people have reported, really, I'd say their quality of life has gone up dramatically. So I think it's really important the audience understands that. This is not some diet. This isn't some lotion, potion, pill, because it's not only the 40% of the food from the grocery store plus these 5 foods that they're consuming in addition, but it's how they're consuming it. There are 2 different aspects that they're doing when they're going through this. Because people ask others, what did they do? What did they do? How'd they do it? Okay. First of all, you have to understand that the 7 peer-reviewed studies were done by a group of scientists who are the #1 for 38 years top weight loss nutrition researchers in the entire world, the whole world, right? They've done 150 studies, looked at almost every diet out there. And they now, after these, because they were the ones, look, they don't sell anything. They're scientists. They had a theory. They thought, wait a minute, over those course of 38 years, putting people on diets, which let's say a diet, you're consuming less food. What they don't tell you is you're consuming less nutrition. And when you consume less nutrition, the body freaks out, goes in starvation mode. You can't burn fat, all right? So you end up losing muscle mass. That's why people end up with all that loose skin over and over and over again, right? So the key was that they realized if they put people on any diet ever again, lowering the amount of food and ignoring they were also lowering nutrition wouldn't work, didn't work. Because for 38 years, everybody on every diet lost weight. But in every case, every time, 40% of what they were losing was lean muscle mass. And when they came off the diet, you see, let me finish. When you lose lean muscle mass, you don't have a choice. Your body slows down your metabolism, your ability to burn calories. That's why you plateau on a diet, which Sheila and Michael did. That's why Sheila or Michael come off their diets and gain everything back. It's just a metabolic function. When you lower metabolism, you can't burn as many calories. You go back even eat what you consider normal, you gain all the weight back. You can't burn as many calories. Well, in the studies, although people lost weight basically 12 times faster than any diet, they gained 6 to 9%. They didn't lose lean muscle, they gained it. The researchers were stunned. They'd never seen anything like this before. So I want everyone to understand, listening to this, it's not just what they consumed. That was, and I don't really cook, but I know you have ingredients. Like if you're going to make a cake, if you're making a sponge cake, I think it's different than a carrot cake in terms of the recipe. Like, okay, now what did they do with the nutrition? Well, they did 2 incredible things. One is called protein pacing. They were talking about the shake. That's one of the 5 components that they're taking, along with regular food. So 5 days a week, they do something called protein pacing, where it's proteins, including this very specialized protein, which has a 91% absorption of amino acids compared to steak, chicken liver at 30%, right? That's why they're building lean muscle and don't have any loose skin. Now, the other thing they did, so 5 days a week protein pacing, which was proteins at very specific times and very specific amounts over the course of, a 12 or 14-hour window. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, don't freak out. It's not fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. It's basically fasting nutritionally. I know that sounds crazy, but again, that if you did decide to follow what they're doing, you would get a coach for free. This would all be explained. It's not a diet. It's completely different than that. It's different, but it's easy to do. So, with that in mind, sort of Michael and Sheila, do you endorse, I'm not twisting their arm, I didn't pay them to say this, but your experience, is this like nothing you've ever done before in your life? And we don't want to scare people, meaning but do you feel that this is completely different than anything you'd ever been taught before about consumption, about food choices, anything like that, for both of you?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I can eat more to where this condition, you eat less. We eat actually more than we've ever eaten. And get fulfillment from that, and we're still losing the weight. So absolutely, yeah,
Well, and to sum that up, we have never felt better than we do right now in our entire lives. I mean,
ever.
we just feel so good. And when you look back and think about like a high performance than any machine out there, but the fuel that you're putting into that, the fuel, you can put bad gas into it, and or you can put good gas into it. Now we feel like we're putting the good gas into our systems, and we're in high performance mode.
And we feel so
So
blessed to have got the experience to go through this and realize what we're putting into our bodies to feel at our optimal health at our age. And we just encourage everybody just to try it for themselves.
and we definitely feel it's not like something that you're going to do and stop. This is something that we want to continue doing because we know that it's giving our body the right nutrients that it needs to perform the correct way.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to.
Flash in your before and afters. Do either one of you want to stop and go back to the original your before and after your before? Do you want to go back there or not? You're not interested in that.
Oh, my.
I couldn't tie my shoes. Yeah, I mean, I'm swelling in my legs. I don't have to ask for help. She help cut my toenails.
In closing out this podcast, I just want to let everybody know if you really want to find out about this, here's the thing. We set up a free medical research site. It's called the New Health Conversation. I'm going to actually flash it up real quickly on the screen for you, just so everybody can see. There is nothing to buy there. The only thing there is the medical proof. One, there's a podcast with the number one nutritional research in the world. Two, there's an explanation in greater detail about a 20-minute video exactly explaining what Michael and Shelia did. You can see the medical studies are there, and then there are actually before and after pictures like theirs, and I'm going to show you theirs again. I know you think we photoshopped them, but we didn't, and I'm not sure that Michael and Shelia know how to Photoshop them, although maybe they wanted to Photoshop them at some point. But the idea is that, and you can see it right there, the New Health Conversation. Our idea is, look, we want to provide a free research site for everybody to go to. Yes, I have written 4 best-selling books. Guess what? There's no books to buy on that site. We're not selling you anything. But if you do decide that you're really fascinated, you want to know more, at the bottom it says sign up for a free consultation. Because one of the things I'm the most proud about that we didn't even, but we're gonna close with that, is that you get a free consultation with real coaches like Shelia and Michael that wanted to help other people become coaches. So this isn't somebody on an 800 number that's reading off some list. And we have a saying that it's called really that sharing this with others is one of the most amazing things ever. So can you two just kind of address that and how inspired you are to help others? That there's no way to explain it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it just fuels us to know when you see people lose weight like we've lost, or they come off medications, or the energy levels is as high as ours is. I mean, how you're inspiring other people, how that makes you feel on the inside, and that's all we want to do is share so somebody else can experience what we've experienced.
Yeah, it's definitely in our heart and our soul that we want to share this with as many people as possible because there's a lot of people out there that are really really needing this. I mean, the first person that we wanted said, who do we really want to help, and that was our friend Tiffany, and she lost 110 pounds in her first 6 months. I
And
mean,
that's blesses our heart.
And that was just, I mean, and again, the weight loss is only one of the many benefits. We've had friends that had wrist aches that were keeping them up at night. And the first week it disappeared and they kept waiting for it to come back. And it's been over a year now. So to be able to supply things like that to people that are priceless, that's what gives us kind of goosebumps. And we're just so thankful for you, Peter, for educating us about the
Absolutely.
nutrition.
And we know your mom is so proud of you, Peter.
Just it becomes my motivation every single day. But you guys have, I mean, you're pioneering this thing. Without people like you, without these kind of stories, I mean, there's just so many people like you two out there right now suffering in quiet desperation, going on these diets. And we all know they're going to lose weight on any diet out there. But as you both have proven, it all comes back because it's the wrong methodology. You can't expect to lower the quantity of your food. But that's the great thing about it. You guys are now 17 months. It's not like it came back. If it was going to come back, it would have come back before 17 months ago. That's where the real inspiration should come from people that are watching this. Because it sounds like, how's that possible? But you're living it every day.
Yeah, and we're on our intermittent nutritional fasting day one for today. And we usually do maybe one or two of those a month just because they make us feel so good.
Right. Well, listen, I want to thank both of you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure the listeners are going to really appreciate it. And I would just say keep up the good work, but I don't think I need to give you any encouragement. I think your inspiration of the two of you and then the people that you're touching and helping to understand, because this isn't some lotion potion pill. This isn't some like we're going to give you 3 recipes to lose weight. We're going to show you. See, that's the thing. And I say it with all due respect to all these influencers out there. I have not found one yet, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or television, et cetera, that's not telling you the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Well, I kind of wrote a book about that called Why Diets Are Failing Us. Counting calories was ludicrous. And I just think that we're all the world needs the new health conversation, not because I created it, but when you look around at 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and then you look worldwide, 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, making obesity the number one cause of malnutrition. That's staggering. So anyway, I'm sure this is going to really impact a lot of people's lives. And is there anything in closing that either one of you would like to contribute before we close out this podcast?
So thankful, Peter, for everything that's involved that has changed our lives so that we can go out there and fulfill our lives, that we're passionate about this, that we can change other people's lives if they will allow us. Just open your mind to something different, that don't cut calories. It doesn't work. Try this for 11 days and see what it does for you.
And the support that we got, like when we first started, our coach was calling your son. And he was really inspirational to us, and he gave us a lot of encouragement, because I had never done any type of fasting or anything like that. And I thought, you mean you don't eat anything for 2 days? And when he convinced me that, you're still consuming rich, nutrient-dense products. And even on the second day, I was like, this is so weird. I'm not even hungry.
We're not hungry at all.
But Colin was definitely helpful, and just the people that we're meeting again from the New Health Conversation, we just are
and it just all makes sense to us, and the people with their compassion and our community, we're just so thrilled.
So we're grateful, huh, Sheila? Cheers.
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 See you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.